Hi everybody, I'm Jerry, um, founder of Flexiana, lifelong software developer. I have been in machine learning space for a while. I will speak about myself on the next slide a little bit. Today we will speak about what is likely to happen in companies while they are adopting AI in this year. So really the scope is 2026. I have out of 23 slides, maybe five that are focused on things that might happen in the upcoming few years, but the main focus is what is happening right now. And as I said to a couple of you who came earlier, by the end of the presentation, there will be space for a discussion. If you will have any questions, and if you will not see the presentation, if there will be any technical glitches, feel free to use chat to ask questions, add suggestions, etc. So, my name is Jurek Nessel. I have been, as I said, lifelong software developer, even when by education I am an economist with a focus on operations research, which is a form of applied mathematics, mainly focused on optimization problems. And this is something that I have been doing 16 years ago. And this was probably the first project related to machine learning, even when in those projects we don't use neural networks, but different algorithms like random forests, etc. These meetups, we had already maybe 5 or 6 meetups. I am usually showing different forms of machine learning. I don't speak only about LLMs. So we were speaking here on previous meetups about recurrent neural networks, or also those fields that are close to me, like those decision-making trees, Kalman filters, etc. Some of those topics are very technical, and I have been showing a lot of examples, both of running applications and source code. Also, we were speaking quite a lot about AI as it is implemented. For example, today I will be mentioning one framework called Crew AI, which we had a presentation here on this framework, which is useful to create AI agents. We have a YouTube channel at Flexiana Dev, youtube.com/at Flexiana Dev. So you can check those older videos from the presentations. The presentation today is not going to be technical. So if you are not developers, it's fine. You don't need any technical knowledge to understand what I will be explaining. No source code this time. It will be a bit more philosophical, if you will. I am very strong user of LLMs as well. I have been programming against large language models for years these days. I have been probably yes. Let me write the name of the YouTube channel here. Okay, so the YouTube channel's link is in the chat. So I will be speaking about things I'm doing in my day-to-day life, and so let's begin. What's the outline of the presentation today? So I would like to speak about the current situation where we are at this moment. Then what are the biggest obstacles? And also what is the progress? Why is not progress as fast as some people predict? Then what are top companies and top players, which might be big players like OpenAI and Anthropic doing at this moment, but also a bit smaller players, what they are doing. And then I will have a few slides that go beyond 2026. So at this moment, when you look at average company, around 34% of tasks are being done by some form of automation, and two-thirds of work is being done by humans. And I don't speak about AI, I mean overall automation thanks to various ERPs, etc. And we have seen digital transformation for a couple of decades already. So it took us quite a long time to get to this like one third being automated. And this percent has been growing steadily but slowly. So let's say between 2024 and 2025, this percent has grown only by 1%, by 1% point. Um, so some people try to predict that we are now in the middle of singularity. In 5 years, there will be no jobs and so on. I don't think this is going to happen. The integration of AI is significantly more difficult than many people realize. And I will give you some realistic prediction of what what you can expect. Generally, I think it's a good thing that it's slow because the world will have enough time to adapt to all this. Just like we adapted to internet, to smartphones, and other innovations, um, it was actually a thing that happened over a decade or even longer to get from like first person in your city or town having internet to more or less everybody having internet. And with AI, we are going to see something similar. I think that AI is going to unlock new use cases that haven't been possible before. However, there is a natural obstacle to this, and it is the nature of human work. On this picture, what you see, it's just an example of something called BPMN, Business Process Model Notation. This is a diagram. It's a way how processes in companies are described. The example here does not matter. It could be any process in the company. The issue is, so BPMN has been around for decades already. Um, Especially larger companies have been trying to implement those things. I actually, many years ago, almost 2 decades ago, I implemented such an editor for a TV signal provider in the Czech Republic. I'm originally from the Czech Republic, where the company could model their processes. But all of those implementations of BPMN have, or any business process have an issue. And the issue is that usually when you have a productive company, the work is not done like this, like on this slide. Usually, someday you might need to do an exception, skip some steps, do 2 steps at the same time, pause process, resume the process, uh, do something you don't have privilege to do in the system with an approval of a manager. Um, Treat old customers differently in the company because they have been with the business since the beginning, and you might have some obligations based by contracts or any other reasons. So every single time, and this is the biggest obstacle in AI adoption, is where exactly do you plug those agents? If you want to plug those agents to, let's say, replace a box, still you need somebody to say, but we are skipping this box. Or here, there is a box. It's a random chart I found on internet. This is true for any process in any company in the world. So here we have receive calls. Okay, so we will have an agent that will receive calls. There are attempts to have agents that receive calls, but when you receive a call, it might lead to starting completely different process, pausing a process, elevation to a manager, many different things. But humans can recognize when it's a good thing to start those processes, elevate things, skip things, and so on. It's not the same thing for AI because AI is very agreeable. If you let it go without any protection, it will probably hack your or let hackers to do bad things to your organization and so on. So you cannot just let AI to replace part of your organization like this. You still need a way how to do, for example, things in batches, um, or for example, as I said, treat all customers differently, or behave differently because it's Christmas or any holidays and so on. AI cannot do that. I have a slide for that because it's true, and this is one of the biggest obstacles. So the 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 sensible implementation of AI is actually if 34% of your company is now being automated, let's say, let's add a few percent. Do not try to replace the whole process, the whole employee, the whole thing, because it's not going to work. And it's not only about good enough source code, good enough process description. Uh, the thing is, even without AI, software has been always able to automate plenty of things. We have had so many forms of machine learning already for personalization, data mining from text, predictions, automated decision making. Like all of those things have been here for decades. Some of those things have been known for centuries, and still they have been very underutilized. Sometimes it might be because companies were not aware of those mechanisms, but very often it has been because the company is changing so much that before you implement some optimization algorithm, the business changes that much that it's pointless again and you have to start over. So instead, I would say it's better to go in increments. However, and later today in this presentation, we'll speak about certain revolution we can prepare to. But let's say now we have 34% automated. Let's make it 38, for example, 40 in this year. And use AI to enhance certain things like data mining, working with noisy information, or for example, uh, for I system to double check if output for customers is reliable, high quality, and so on. Um, the second option might be that you really might want to go and build those agents. Like Crew AI, one of the frameworks we have been speaking about on these meetups is Crew AI. It's one of the most widespread frameworks for building your own agents. It's free, it's open source, it has plenty of connectors. It's easy to start with. So you might really want to start with something like that. But at the same time, you will immediately run into those issues that you cannot automate everything. And one of the things is there is actually missing interface for people to be able to consistently check what all of those agents are doing. And one of the things I expect that will change during this year is that we will get much better interfaces to check what AI is actually doing. Because we are definitely going to move from space where you are looking at one AI doing something to more like you looking at four different agents doing something, and you can embody any of those agents, do some of the work yourself, even finish the whole task or cancel the whole task or undo certain things, and then resume the operation. And the world is not there yet. We don't have this. There are attempts to have such a thing for developers, but still, it's problematic. And for other fields, we are still not there yet. Of course, you can have multiple chat windows open, but now I am speaking about really agents that are controlling computers, sending emails, editing documents, using ERPs, and so on at the same time in contextful environment. So this is missing. So if you want to go the second way, try to build your agent. There is no good interface to really control what they are doing. And like having just one agent to do your tasks, maybe it will be a bit more productive, but actually, I would say such a work would be quite boring, wouldn't it? Um, now, so for software developers, what we can say, it's not going to be that like now we have this amount of automation in the company that has nothing in common with AI, and now everything will be replaced with AI. Realistically, I think maybe 20%, even this is optimistic, but around 20% of the code of internal systems in companies will have something to do with AI. The rest will just continue as usual, and you will use the same systems you have been using the whole time. Uh, as I said, we are going through gradual change, not a revolution. Even when everybody believes that AI is a revolution, including me, its implementation to our lives is not going to happen in a matter of weeks. It's going to take years, many years. Now, let's speak a little bit what top companies are doing. So, um, OpenAI is is not focused all that much to companies. Of course, they have been integrated to Copilot. Their API is one of the most used APIs for LLM applications in the world. But OpenAI is embracing more retail individuals. Even the CEO was writing about this today when he was defending adding ads to um, OpenAI to ChatGPT, and Sam Altman, he was explaining that for OpenAI they want really to give access to AI to everybody, not just rich people, not just companies. So I think what they really want to do is to achieve a scale where they will have billions of users, and that's their target, not just companies. So OpenAI is a great company if you want to integrate with their API, build applications on top of OpenAI. Their models are perfect, absolutely fantastic frontier models. They came up with a bunch of innovations. They even created this space, right? Uh, but for companies, I would say Anthropic is doing a bit more. I am 100% sure that Anthropic will beat OpenAI in corporate space. So what they already have is an extension to their desktop application called Cowork that can partially control your computer. Uh, how much it can control depends on you. Where in certain moments it can work for minutes without you touching keyboard, doing things for you, many things. Um, so one of those things is really automation of everything you do. They pioneered something called MCPs and skills. I guess not everybody here is a developer. So let me explain what are those. So MCPs, Model Context Protocols, are extensions to AI. They are small programs that you install, usually locally, which of course have security implications, negative security implications, but these are small programs that you install on your computer. And these programs can control things like your browser, your email client, or services you use like online to-do lists, your internal systems, and so on. And they expose certain interface for AI, including a documentation. So when you install new MCP server, automatically AI could control something. There are tools for many different things. You can even control, for example, Ableton, which is a software to make music. So you can say like, create a new track that has like 6 channels, load a drum machine to first 2 channels, and it will do it. Or so like a Blender 3D modeling software, so you can describe a scene and it can create a scene in your computer. It's controlling the program. So MCP servers are super powerful. A good thing is that the protocol is completely open. Anybody can develop MCPs. The disadvantage is the protocol itself is quite clumsy. It's easy to break things. It's not easy to debug it. I have implemented some MCP servers myself. It's not easy. It's more difficult than building other things. There are tons of MCP servers that exist, hundreds. So most likely you can already download plenty of them to your computer, and suddenly AI can control different things in your computer. Again, this has security implications because you are downloading and running code you loaded from somewhere from internet. Um, and many of those authors might be completely anonymous people. So generally, I will be conservative with like not add too many MCPs. Um, what you can actually do is to download MCP, and before you install it, you can ask AI to do security audit. Even when you are not a developer, you say this, like you upload it and say make a security audit, try to find errors, and then you can install it. Then there are skills. Skills are great, and they are much simpler. Skills are text files that describe how things are done. So you explain how you do things. And by doing that, you teach AI to follow certain process. And a good thing is, compared to, for example, those BPM annotations, you change the skill and AI will immediately behave differently. Or you can explain the skill, but you can tell AI, but this time do this differently. Skip this step or do this twice. And those skills will work as templates. And you don't need any technical knowledge to write them. Skills are just text files. So it is definitely something that's worth looking into. If you basically define your work or all the things you want to automate in the form of skills, you have something that is changeable and you can use it already. And there are people who are making new skills almost every day. Just yesterday, I was reading a blog post from Corizio. It's one of the more famous developers in in Python. He was exactly explaining, I am making a new skill every day. They are a big help. So this is something you can do. And these innovations came from Anthropic. Now they have been supported by all major players. They became open source. I think they now belong to Linux Foundation. Again, you don't need to use Linux to use that, but it means they are not owned or copyrighted by Anthropic. Anybody can use those things. Uh, Next thing, overall, Anthropic is trying to be quite on the secure side. Still, for example, when you use Anthropic over API, uh, it's definitely less secure or more willing to do things it would not do in its chat interface. So, um, so still you need to think of security when you are implementing against Anthropic, even when Anthropic itself is trying to be one of those companies that takes these things seriously. They also partnered up with IBM to bring secure AI agents, which is probably a good thing. IBM has been actually one of the first movers in this space. Maybe you remember IBM Watson. It has been a project maybe 15 years ago. It had nothing in common with the architecture of LLMs. It's much older. Before the architecture behind LLMs, called transformers, was even invented. But even then, many years ago, it was already winning Jeopardy. But unfortunately, they didn't. They came too early, and the whole IBM Watson project has failed. Later, they tried to sell it. Nobody wanted this intellectual property, so this ended up as a massive loss of money. We are speaking about billions of dollars. So IBM instead is now focusing on Anthropic. Uh, Google has options for individuals, for small companies that want just AI, or companies, but also options for companies who want to do their own machine learning. So maybe some of you are using Gemini, just like you use ChatGPT or Claude. Uh, it's there, it's solid, it works well. I would say it's one of the frontier models with, like, all of those models are great, always improving. Uh, you will not make any mistake by using any of those frontier models. Then, just like OpenAI is being added to Microsoft Office, Google is doing the same with their tool, or with their Office suite. Um, and on top of that, Google has Vertex AI, which is hosted machine learning service. By the way, Amazon has a similar thing, SageMaker. Google has a quite a lot of they call it Vertex AI. It can do many things, from just any machine learning model you can have there, but they have already pre-trained various things. So, sorry. So, for example, for price prediction, if you want to have dynamic pricing, um, you can use existing infrastructure from Google. It's scalable, it's fast, it's not cheap if you were using it on scale, but uh, at certain moment, all of those solutions like Vertex AI, AWS SageMaker, and Microsoft in Azure, they have also their own solution. I forgot the name. So all of those, they are cheap for small deployments, but of course, when you grow, they become expensive. It's better than to build your own server or servers. Now let's move on to a bit smaller players. So I was speaking today already about Crew AI, which is probably the most famous framework to make your own agents. It's super easy to start with. You need some technical knowledge, but basically you create a graph of agents who communicate, and those agents are specified as a text file. So you describe, like, you are, let's say, lead gen researcher who is looking for new potential customers, and so on, so on, and so on. Or you are search engine optimization analyst, and you are trying to improve the website to perform better for this and that. So you describe it, you describe what are expected inputs and outputs of that role, and then you connect tools. So those agents have access to, Crew AI is already providing many, many dozens of connectors to CRM systems, uh, Google ecosystem, Microsoft ecosystem, and so on, but also you can create your own tools. So you can connect to your internal systems. As I said, it's free and open source. Uh, 60% of Fortune 500 experiment with this framework. It's powerful. One of the obstacles I was mentioning it today is it is really built on a premise that you can really automate whole people, which I don't think it's true. And there is no good interface to see what is really happening. They have certain interface, it's not enough. So I think this is like no single agent framework has won yet. Like we have been speaking about agents now for years. Everybody expect that those things will happen and that we will have awesome agents. And still there is no single contender in this market that has got those things right. So Crew AIs, it's great, but also you will get only so far. But the good thing is it costs nothing to start. You can automate some simpler things. It's great for things like marketing research, looking for new customers, processing documents, those things that are quite don't require too much coordination. Um, then other frameworks like LangChain, Microsoft Semantic Kernel, AutoGen, and so on. Overall, I would say LangChain has been the first framework that was hyped as the future of AI agents. Now I would say it's kinda failing. Overall, the market has moved on. Nobody speaks about those frameworks anymore. There might be some exceptions for companies who already started implementations, but I would say that all of those frameworks are now failing. Basically, nobody is all that much interested in them. Then there is OpenClaw. Maybe so it was renamed twice. So it was first it was called ClaudeBot, then 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, it was renamed to Moldbot, and then 1 day later, it was renamed to OpenCrop. This is very interesting thing, not worth for a company. So basically, what it is, it's an agent that you install on any computer. Again, it's free, it's open source. There is no company behind that. It was built, byte coded, so-called, by one individual. Um, it's clumsy. It has plenty of bugs. I have one running. It even has security bugs. So, for example, I installed OpenClaw on a separate virtual server on DigitalOcean hosting. I am not running it on my computer. I don't trust it enough. However, it is super clumsy showcase of how I think other players will evolve their interfaces. Like, for example, mention Cowork from Anthropic. Basically, you have an agent in that interface, and this agent is not doing the work. It controls other agents and it's keeping them on track. So it works like a supervisor. And so you can ask it to work on some two tasks. So you can give it 5, 6 different tasks. It will spawn different subagents. Each of those subagents is doing its own thing. It's surprisingly capable. When it recognizes one of those subagents failed, it restarts it. It is living in a virtualized computer and it can, or virtualized, you could potentially run it on your computer. I don't recommend it. Most likely, this would be a security problem. But if it's running in some virtualized computer in sandbox environment, it can really control the whole thing. It can install packages. It can use browser. When it install packages, there have been stories when somebody you can communicate with it through different communication channels like Telegram, WhatsApp, iMessage, Slack, and others. So you can send it a voice memo. It automatically downloads a script um, to let's say translate your voice to text, no matter the language you use. So it will translate it and it will do the things. So you can speak to your agent over your phone. It will do things. Um, it is surprisingly capable. Um, but at the same time, if I have shown you the output of my OpenClaw or CloudBot, it is showing a lot of bugs. It's not there yet, but it's, I would say, sneak peek uh, to how in the future, when they will polish it, how those interfaces will look like. So it's nice to look at this. If you want, you can install it, for example, on some old computer, or if you are um, tech savvy, you can run some virtual private server. Then there is another contender in this space, which has been quite ignored in the West, which is a tool called Manus IM. It has been called that it's a Chinese startup. Actually, the startup has been from Singapore. It has been recently acquired by Meta. Um, and for a couple of billions of dollars. And what they do is actually similar to OpenClaw. When you give it a task, it has its own computer with everything, with a browser. It can install packages. It can do different things. Good thing is its advantage and disadvantage at the same time. It can use that computer and do things, but it's completely sandbox. The security is much better than OpenClaw. Of course, it's SaaS product. You have to pay. The cheapest plan is about $20 per month, so it's probably more expensive. But this sandboxing has much better security. But at the same time, the disadvantage is this insulation does not help to, let's say, to give it a task to run for hours, spawn multiple agents, each using like shared data, shared context. So in OpenClaw, you can ask AI to work on 5 different tasks, and those sub-agents can communicate with each other, exchange work in progress over shared files. With Manus, you can't do such a thing. Each task is completely isolated from the rest, but it's polished product. So if you wanted to try something that's running online somewhere, but it's controlling a computer, it's worth looking into. I have been using Manus for a while, maybe almost a year, not frequently, but it has been quite good, I would say. Okay, now a couple of other things we will hear about much more now in upcoming months. So first of those are small language models. LLMs are large language models. They are, of course, superior, but the disadvantages, they're large. You need expensive hardware to run them. These have been trained on tons of data. Lots of those data you will never need. For example, large language models are very often capable to communicate in 100 different languages, but you will never speak to your model in, I don't know, maybe yes, Swahili or Czech or any other language you don't really use. So those models have a massive corpus of knowledge you will never need and never use, but somebody still have to hold all this in GPU. And a large language models will never fit to a smartphone. I think it's physically impossible. 10 years from now, the best smartphones that will exist will still not be able to run frontier ChatGPT that exists. It's impossible. It's too big. The inference would be too slow. Energy consumption would be too big. We are hitting physical limits for small language models. So, for example, just in English, just in Spanish, just focused on, for example, health or law. These models can actually beat large language models at their particular tasks. And the hardware they run on might be significantly cheaper. So you could run small language models on your computer. I have multiple computers. Some of them are better for machine learning, some of them are worse. Now I am presenting here from MacBook Air. And even on this MacBook Air, I was training my own small language model, training, not even using, but training, and on a whole corpus of William Shakespeare work. And after about 16 hours of training, I was able to actually, like, I started with a prompt and it returned a part of a play in the style of William Shakespeare. It was a small model. It might have had about 30 million parameters. It's a nothing, like nothing. It's million times smaller model, a million times smaller scale of training went into this compared to top models. But still, in 1 day or less than 1 day, I had a model that was giving meaningful English, grammatically correct output that sounded like William Shakespeare. And it was a 1 week computer with a couple of GPUs. You could train your own models. LLMs are out there, unstoppable. We might see actually people training, like not non-technical people, we might see really people training their own small language models, focus on particular thing, a dialect, local dialect, small languages that might be dying out. Now I'm in Gibraltar. They speak a language, they use language called Janito, which is a mixture mainly between Andalusian Spanish and English, and some other languages on a smaller scale. AI is not speaking Janito. You could train your own model. So we will hear about those way more in the future. Another big thing, and it has been part of the hype, are companies that are doing data annotation. And it's going to be even like opportunity for people to earn money temporarily. So those companies, so initially first models were trained on data from internet. So they scraped the whole Wikipedia, millions of books, social networks like Reddit, Stack Overflow, tons of websites, and so on. All of those things, textbooks, studies, scientific papers, all this was the initial purpose has been used to train. Some of those are actually uh, available. So if you wanted and if you had hardware that's powerful enough, you could train your own large language model. There are examples of that on GitHub, but there are still things missing. So what Anthropic and OpenAI started doing through other companies is they started hiring people who do certain jobs. So, real estate investing. And they hired plenty of people who are explaining how they are doing their job. This is an important thing because temporarily it's an opportunity for anybody to earn money in, let's say, very specialized fields. Those people who are annotating data are are being paid, I believe, something like $200 per hour. So uh, it's a good money. Disadvantage, of course, is that once AI will learn those things, then it will get better at doing those tasks. So it will be more difficult for others to compete or say, oh, AI cannot do this. So uh, this is a massive thing. All companies have been spending, or all of those frontier companies have been spending billions of dollars on exactly those companies to get those data. These data annotators are direct reason why, for example, ChatGPT is now being able to do scientific research and proofs in top mathematics, physics fields. It's because, and actually one of those companies, I think it was Scale AI, their first deal was OpenAI. They hired mathematicians and they were explaining and giving solutions for advanced mathematical problems. This is one of those companies that started. I think it was Scale AI. And also, those mathematicians were paid fantastically for each problem. They've got something like $10,000, a lot of money, but they were like university mathematics, not arithmetics. Um, and this is going to get even bigger in this year. All those fields, I think we will see huge improvements in healthcare, in law, generally white collar jobs. All of them will get AI will get much better because companies like Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, and so on are constantly buying more and more data how to do those jobs. So it's good to expect this. Um, then another thing is open source versus frontier closed source models. So closed source models are models where you don't have access to the data. You cannot run this model yourself. Examples are ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. Then there are open source models. Probably the most well-known is Llama from Facebook or Meta, and DeepSeek, based in China. Uh, in in the beginning of 2025, in benchmarks, those open source models were on average 8% worse. Now they are around 2% worse. So they are closing the gap, and they release those labs are releasing new versions of those models, and usually they are 3 to 6 months behind. I think this gap will close even more to something like 3 months. So things you can do only like I'm not speaking about generation of video and so on. Now we speak about text in, text out. So for those, in 3 months, open source models will be as good as the best closed source models that exist. Uh, And even now, as I said, frontier models now they write mathematical proofs, they expand mathematics. Today I have read a blog post that the physics field is now in a state of existential crisis. There was a discussion at Princeton University between physicists, astrophysicists, I think, that now AI can do 90% of work of what physicists are doing. And they will have to redefine what even being a physicist mean. So um, for a long time, so one of the things that have been an issue is AI has been trained on what other people wrote, right? An average person has IQ 100. Uh, Clever people like writing too. So let's say for a very long time, AI has been around IQ 115, and it wasn't getting any better. It looked like this is some natural reasoning frontier where you can get and you cannot get through. But now we have got through. We now have models that measure their measured IQ is from 130. Um, and I suppose one of the main reasons is a use of tools like those data annotation services where top professionals and people in academia are providing inputs, expert inputs, and these people are significantly more clever. So this has helped to make those models much more clever. So so now these models are really doing academic work. And again, what we might see in 2026, maybe models that will have measured IQ 135, 136, which is great. It's awesome. We are getting really to the fields where um, frontier models will have higher IQ than average pure mathematician, theoretical physicist. Um, this is something we will see during this year. Um, then there is a difference in how West and China is doing things. Um, it's uh, West is chasing these like artificial intelligence, big models, like win the race to reach singularity, where AI will be able to solve any problem we might have. And this is the game that is being played in the West a lot. Uh, in China, what they do is they chase a different goal, and it is to integrate AI into manufacturing, logistics, apps, and so on, even with smaller models. Um, and I think they have been quite successful with those things. So um, the KPI, the benchmark, how to measure the progress in this race might be difficult to say like, okay, now in this year, West is doing better or worse, because each of those spheres is optimizing for something a little bit different. Uh, West might have more clever models, but DeepSeek, for example, is excellent model. It's it's awesome, and I must say I am very surprised what they have achieved with significantly less money. Um, well, in China, it might be more use cases, more widespread adoption, faster adoption compared to West. Another important thing and discussion I expect to start doing this year is so a while ago I have read an interesting article. It was called something like above API versus below API. In this article, the author, it was long, it was older article than AI. It was about especially gig economy like Uber. So in normal company, when you start, even when you start in completely bottom individual contributor position, you can grow. You can become a team lead. You can become first level manager. You can become mid manager, let's say, then grow to VP and so on space. But then there have been a new type of companies that in the middle of the company is an API, is an application like Uber, for example. You have drivers, who are driven by app, managed by app. And then there is Uber headquarters that is implementing, building the application, doing marketing, and so on. And there is absolutely no way how to go from driver to work for the HQ. There are people who are below API, there are people who are above API. So it creates artificial barrier for career growth, which is problematic, right? But there is not that many people who work in such a situation. Now, with AI, what might technically happen is that companies might try to implement something like middle manager level, where you will have individual contributors who will be managed by AI. And then there will be, again, some headquarters that will be setting up policies for AI, and AI will behave as it was specified by top management, which might impact significantly bigger part of the market. And I think that from the social point of view, this might become a problem. So what I think should happen is that AI should be always below people, and the policy in companies should be that um, all the policies and in AI are available to see to all employees, and all employees can suggest changes to those policies. So even when AI might give you a task, you could see how the policy was created, why is it giving you a task, and you can suggest to change the way how those tasks are given. If the future of work is supposed to be successful with AI, I think this is important thing to speak about and adopt in companies. And I tell it even when I'm myself entrepreneur, I would love to build a company where people want to work, and I see this as one of those things that is important to implement on a huge scale. So, so this is another thing that I think we will see discussions about those things. Um, there is a website called randhuman.ai, and actually there are people signing up for this. Can you see it? Excuse me. Can you see? I've opened the website. Can you see it? Yes. Okay. So um, somebody has created this website that actually robots can give a task to humans. So it has been, this website started around 2 weeks ago, a week ago. So you can sign up as a human to work for AI agents. So gig economy for individuals who are eyes and hands of bots it's happening. The website already exists. I suppose it's not used much. It's completely new phenomenon. Uh, there have been something like that for humans to humans, like Fiverr, for example. This website has been intentionally built for AI agents to give tasks to humans. So we are not in a theoretical space anymore. There is a first attempt. As I say, it's super new, it's super small, but it already exists, this phenomenon. Okay, so um, then this is what we will see people like we were here and see people discussing in this year. This is what I envision will happen in 2026. Now, if I want to speak about something that will be happening in in upcoming, let's say, upcoming 5 years, we will see something I called emergent ERPs, UIs, and so on. So it's a completely new type of how computing and interaction with computers can be done. It has not been done yet. It does not exist, and it has never existed. And this description here you see on this slide, it's how things are being done. So and this is focused on companies, but the same thing can exist for other types of applications. So now, when you have a system and uh, you need to extend it for some reason, a new product, new process, new law, whatever situation has changed. So you identify some need, somebody in the company describes this change. It might be a product manager, some form of manager, product owner, analyst, specifies what must be implemented. Designer designs, forms, data grids, whatever is needed. And some architect designs how the system will change. Developers develop it, testers test it, and then the system is being released. This is how software is released for decades already. This is the process that we developers follow for a very long time already. Of course, as of now, you can use AI to identify needs. You can use AI to help you with product management. Actually, the first application I built against AI 4 years ago was a product manager app. You can use AI to architect systems. Nowadays, people are skipping the design part quite a lot. If you ask why Figma shares are falling like crazy, it's because people are designing less than before. They are skipping UX, go from Figma directly to something like Lovable or AI to make the interface directly in the code. So the total demand for design has been going down. Implementation, so like it went up a lot. There is a lot of code written with AI, but nothing of that is special. This is already happening. But imagine a different world where at the moment, like like imagine a company that says we are doing this, we work in this mode, this is our brand, these are the laws, or because we are, for example, located in the USA, in the UK, in Spain. So these are our laws. These are contracts we have signed with our customers and vendors. So these are the rules. These are behaviors we show to our customers as part of our branding. This is our brand identity. And then the system, there might be a big, massive AI or multiple AIs in the center automatically identifying needs. Like, for example, you say to AI, you might have just prompt to write, I would like to do this. And it will automatically, based on all of those policies you have, laws that are relevant for you, jurisdictions and legal constraints, it designs the interface just on demand, just in time. You do your task. AI does its task. It does what it can do. You as a human do what you can do. So it generated the code. It ran the code. You do your task, and then the code is deleted. And if this is a one-off thing, this code disappears. It will never exist again, and your application had another 1,000 lines of code for half an hour, 20 minutes. If The AI is doing some form of statistics about what things people want. Of course, this generation of new interface takes time. It might take even a couple of minutes. So if it happens often, it will save this interface in its code base. Automatically, AI will decide, yes, this should be part of our company. So it saves the code in the code base, and then it is part of your information system. You can click around, get to those forms, and do those tasks. And the system remembers that this process, this screen, depends on certain policies and laws. If the law will change, AI can regenerate all the whole system based on a new law. Like there is a new tax, and in your database, you don't expect to work with this tax, but it will redesign your application. Suddenly, you work, okay, now usually countries that have VAT have two VAT rates. The lower rate for food, medicines, uh, maybe products for babies, and then the upper VAT for everything else. Now you might have some countries at the third rate. All developers hated that. Like nobody does that, but some countries try. Now, like the system could regenerate and add third VAT. Uh, or the company might go through rebranding, for example, and the system can automatically change our screens or outputs, the website. Everything will have a new identity, new tone, and so on. And uh, if you have such a system, the point of the system is not source code. What you have are policies. You might have a folder with a bunch of all the policies in the company, all relevant things, all the obligations you have to your customers, vendors, third parties, all the things you want to do certain way will be in some form of specification shared between employees somewhere. And AI will be driven by those policies, which might change everything. It might be a completely different way how to have a digital business, right? Um, and in such a world, employees are really architects of the system. You adjust how the system works. You, as humans, do things you can do, things that AI cannot do. If there will be robots, things that robots cannot do. Uh, we will see a big, let's say, shift or push towards robotics. Uh, it's out of the scope for 2026, even when progress will be made, but they will be still clumsy, weak, expensive, hard to train. So robotics is it's more like 2030 thing, but uh, so now we are AI agents and humans. So so this is one thing. The next thing that is very important, uh, AI agents cannot be legally responsible for anything. OpenAI or Claude, they take no legal responsibility. Open source models, absolutely no responsibility for anything the system outputs. What they even do is that you own the outputs. You get a license, you can do anything you want more or less with the outputs, but they take no responsibility for those outputs. So the companies that are adopting all of those things related to AI will have to be responsible. Humans will be responsible. So if company will have, for example, 10 employees and 40 agents, one employee might be looking at 4 agents doing their jobs, and as they are checking them, checking the outputs and procedures, those employees are basically becoming responsible for what those agents are doing. You might like it or not, but more or less this is, I think, going to happen. Uh, at the same time, if things will go well, we will really all end up above the AI, not below AI. We all will have means to change the policies, change behaviors of those agents. Um, and of course, humans will be hands and eyes. We will be a fallback for situations where AI cannot do certain things. So it's important still to keep a way how to insert yourself into the process, insert yourself into things that agents are doing so you can correct the direction it takes, skip things, and so on. Um, so this is, let's say, the future. But for this future, what you could do is you could already map out your organizational policies. What you do, how you do it, and why. Is it based on brand, learned things, laws, and so on? This is definitely something you will use in the future. It's meaningful to do this. You will use it. Uh, then, what we will see also is we will be changing the way how SOP, standard operating procedures, will be specified. We will see shift more from he is doing this and she is doing that, more towards what needs to be achieved, how, and why. As we can expect that agents might be taking some parts of that, attempting their best to achieve those things while people are watching and shaping the operations of those agents. So um, so this is definitely something you could do. It would be good to really have a place in the company, make it a habit that these policies are available to people. They are not only for few people, for example, in top management and IT department, but it's something that's available for everybody. And slowly start adding those agents, train people to use them. This really might be very useful for uh, for companies. This is, I guess, the future. What we will see really in 5 years from now. We will be watching agents doing things. So it's good to start with something like that already. Now, uh, yeah. So another obstacles for AI. So I was already speaking about legal responsibility. There are running jokes online. What year do people think there will be first marriage proposal to AI, first lawsuit from AI to human? What will be the first time AI will ask for its own legal identity and really having ID and ability to have a own bank account and so on? Personally, I think this is not going to happen anytime soon. Many people realize how difficult or risky such a thing would be. Like marriage is of course absolutely impossible, but let's say other things like could AI own its own bank account? These topics will be raised, and I think generally the answer is going to be no for a very long time, and there is a good reason for that. Um, Another obstacle is LLMs are not learning the same way as humans do. So we, as humans, we have short-term memory, long-term memory, and between those memories we can move things. And we are constantly evolving. We are enforcing certain memories. For example, when you speak a foreign language and you use words from the foreign language, you make those connections stronger. There is a saying, neurons that fire together, wire together. Um, so you instantly learn things. You don't need many examples. Um, AI, as of now, LLMs, they don't work this way. You have a training phase, and once the training phase is finished, it stops training, and you have just the context window, which is getting much, much bigger over time. We are looking now at models with 1 million tokens, which is hundreds of thousands of characters long, shorter memories. But when you lose the context, you lose the memory. So, of course, ChatGPT and so on, they are trying to keep the memory for you, but they are inserting it to context. So it makes your context smaller. Those LLMs, they don't learn anything for you. There have been experimental architectures already. Um, for example, Baby Dragon Hatchling. It's an alternative architecture, differently made than GPT and other LLMs. It is also LLM, but not based on transformers, but on Hebrew learning, something a little bit different. And these architectures are very good at something called fast memory. So it has the corpus of knowledge, the parameters. It has a context, just like LLMs, but also it has something called fast memory, which is a memory, and you can go from context to fast memory, and then you can move it from fast memory to the whole parameter model, the whole like model for everybody. And it has a huge advantage. Having this middle memory, it's fast, but it can be shared by multiple running contexts. So for example, you can have the shared model for the whole world. Everybody has the same one. Then you have fast memory for example, one company or one organization, and it is already there, and AI can use it. It's as if it was learned, and you don't need to insert it into the context, so it's free. And then you have the context where you are chatting or using AI. So um, this is, I would say, frontier research. You cannot have this with any of those models that are available as of now. It's more experimental thing. So now it's an obstacle, but in the future there will be a solution. Another thing, it sounds like a joke, but basically every big system it has non-stop something failing, some database somewhere or some service somewhere, and so on. So you always need humans to be in the place, and sometimes you need to replace a part of the system with Excel and so on. This is one of the reasons why adoption will be slower than we would like. Humans will be still needed for a very long time, probably always. And as I was speaking about it already, there is no good solution for AI monitoring as of now. Everybody in this space is focused on beating benchmarks, having strongest model, especially like I live in West. It's hard for me to speak about China. I don't use Chinese models all that much besides experimentation. So at least like in the Western space, there is no single good monitoring system or product for AI. So this is another thing that will have to be resolved in upcoming year or years. All right. So we've got to the last slide. I would like to thank you, and now it's a good time for questions. So feel free to ask. You can either ask questions in chat or thank you in chat, or you can unmute yourself. Both are fine. Also in the chat, there is a link to the form. It would be great if you can fill it, give us some feedback if you liked it. The recording is going to be on our YouTube channel. right. Yeah, if I can elaborate more on AI monitoring. Yes, yes, I can. So when you have an agent, it's it's doing something, and AIs are inherently like most of those are text in, text out. And for certain jobs, text in, text out works fine. Programming, very often text in, text out works. But for many others, you need to use the computer. You need a machine where you are working with multiple applications. You are filling data to some forms. Um, you are getting data from somewhere, and you compare the data in some input with some output. So then when you want to deliver, let's say, I was trying to prototype something that might be a uh, good solution in Lovable, and it's not perfect. So basically, what you need from agent, and this is not good enough. So you have an agent, you need to understand the context, like what is happening. You need to see the steps that are being taken. You need to be able to open case data. So, for example, when you have an agent that's doing something on your customer, you must be able to open the data. Okay, is your customer even allowed to ask you for such a thing? So you as somebody who is checking it, you should be able to open the data AI has got for this case. You should be able to see what steps is AI taking, what is it thinking, what's its plan, what actions it takes. You should be able to stop it and then somehow embody into this agent. Is one of the reasons why this is not good enough. You should be really seeing what is the agent doing. And now when I post it, I should be able to, for a while, work as if I was the agent, and then I should be able to resume it. So even this, and here, for example, so you have customer support triage, a product damaged. Okay, you can look at the case data, open full record, see much more information. Then you can approve it, reject it. So even this I'm showing here, even this is not enough. Really, what you would need to see is really see what data agent found, what was the conclusions, what's the plan, what is it doing, how it's going, and so on. There is no general solution for here, for example, we have multiple agents, invoice processor, lead qualification, contract reviewer, many different things in the company. But contract reviewer might be working in a completely different context than lead qualification. So single unified interface might not work. One lead qualification might use browser and CRM, just to Windows. Contract reviewer might need to open 10 different contracts that have been signed with different customers over time and go to history, study laws, and so on. So there is no one interface that would be enough for everybody. I hope it helps.
Yes, Jerry, it helps. I come from a background where we used to monitor the production systems, building Grafana dashboards and using Prometheus and
Yeah.
yeah. So there we monitor the how the production systems work. So I was just curious how the AI monitoring how where it is heading. And yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the clarification.
Yeah, so one thing for Grafana, Grafana is awesome when you are showing charts and numbers, but
Mhm.
when you want to show data grids, It's not
Yeah,
really the data grade in Grafana is it's not very powerful. It's quite ugly.
yeah.
It does not show data in a good structure. I know because we have been using Grafana a lot to monitor services. So
Mm-hmm.
when you need to monitor how is the application running, is great. But
Yeah,
I cannot imagine using something like Grafana to see AI agent studying a law, studying multiple
yeah,
contracts, and drafting
yeah,
a text document.
yeah,
And if you are expected as a human to be responsible for outputs of AI, you should better be able to see AI doing this so you can stop it and change its direction.
yeah, yeah. I get that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes. All right. So I love the monitoring topic because yes, it definitely contains a bias on its output, of course. It's also often it will not have all the current laws, regulations. Yes, yes. Another thing is, yes, that if you are, you can even unmute yourself if you want. So yes, you are right. Uh, you should never let AI do ethical decisions for you. You should not let it do business decisions for you. Generally, when you let AI to do those decisions, it will not end up successfully. There have been multiple people who tried to give AI investment portfolio. It lost. It lost a lot of money. Speaking of ethics, yes, AI has been trained, like the main purpose on like generally mainstream population. Now there are more outputs from experts, so in this it might get better, but still in ethics, there are so many frameworks out there, and without uh, somehow guiding the AI, it cannot do proper ethical decisions you would like to do, right? Even, for example, the basic of ethics is there is deontology, which is what is good or bad is decided based on principles. For example, Immanuel Kant was one of those. Then there is consequentialism. So if the outcome is good, then it is ethical. If the outcome is bad, it's not ethical. Then there is virtue ethics, very common in all ancient Greece and ancient Rome. That good people with good habits are ethical no matter what they do. Uh, for AI, what is it? Like it's it's so agreeable that it will be anything you want. Uh, it's not principled. You need to give it the principles. You need to tell it you want to be deontological. You want to have um, respect to, for example, certain human rights, or you want to be consequentialist. You should never kill, for example, based on principle. You should never let a human be killed. It's consequentialist ethics. So yes, yes, for AI, it's yeah, humans have to set the ethics for AI.
Thank you. I know this might not have been the direction that your talk wanted to go. But I love your topic around, where do we embed ourselves and what can we do to stay relevant with the understanding, the given that AI is proliferating and it's not going away and it's only going to evolve. So
Yes,
thank you very
yes.
much for a
Thank
very
you.
interesting talk.
Thank you. Yeah, and now it's a good time to shape this because if we do good decisions early, it will pay off many, many times over in the future.